Brain of Britain, the nationwide general knowledge contest, chaired by Russell Davis.
Thank you. Hello. Following last week's Northern Heat of Brain of Britain, we're making a second visit to Media City, UK in Salford for Heat 6 of this year's tournament. With me are 4 more competitors, all from the north of England this week, and very welcome you all are. Would you start, please, by introducing yourselves?
Hello, I'm Graham Cox. I'm a Business Development Manager from Cheadle in Greater Manchester.
Hello, I'm MEL Kinsey, a retired steelworker from Scarborough in North Yorkshire.
Hi, I'm DARREN Martin. I'm a business analyst from Whittle le Woods in Lancashire.
Hello, I'm Paul Webster, a National Trust worker from Rowlands Gill, Tyneside.
Lovely. Well, I'm sure you know how it works. I ask you questions in rotation, and you have 10 seconds to think about your answer. If you get it wrong or can't answer in the time available, I'll invite the others to press their buttons, which makes their light come on as a signal that they want to try for the point. 5 correct answers in a row will win you a further bonus point. Good luck, all 4 of you. We go in alphabetical order of surname, so let's get things underway with your first question, Graham Cox. What name is given to the molten rock beneath the Earth's surface, which may erupt as lava?
Magma.
Magma's right, yes. Which herb of the parsley family flavours the Scandinavian salmon dish gravlax?
Dill.
Is right. The name of which letter 9th in the Greek alphabet can mean an extremely small amount?
Iota.
Yes, very often an absent amount too, as in not one iota remained. With a stop along the line in the city of Adelaide, the train known as the Indian Pacific runs between which 2 major Australian cities?
Sydney to Perth.
Those are the ones. What is the name of the valley near Dusseldorf that gave its name to the important anthropological discovery made there in 1856?
Neanderthal.
Neander Valley, 5 in a row, bonus point. Well, there we are. A challenge has been laid down. MEL Kinsey, let's see if you can take it up. Which word, defined in physics as the range of angles between the nulls or minima of a radiation pattern, is also more commonly used for part of the human ear?
The anvil?
No. DARREN Martin?
Radian?
No. Graham Cox?
Stirrup.
No. Paul Webster?
Aural range?
No, it's lobe.
Oh,
Just lobe. DARREN Martin, the laughing jackass is another name for which bird?
Kookaburra?
Yes, also sometimes called the bushman's clock, because the kookaburra is heard very early in the morning and just after sunset. The German naval mutiny of 1918 took place in which port city?
Kiel?
Yes. What is the name of the new road bridge over the River Forth that was officially opened by the Queen in September 2017?
Queen Elizabeth Bridge?
No. MEL Kinsey?
the new crossing?
No, I'm sure a lot of people call it that, but no. Nobody knows, no. It's called the Queensferry Crossing, which is rather unexciting for such a spectacular structure. Paul Webster, which word can mean both a bundle of sticks bound together as fuel and a ball of seasoned meat or offal?
Faggot.
Yes. In Hugh Lofting's books about Dr. Dolittle, Polynesia is a parrot and Dab Dab is a duck. What kind of animal is Gub Gub?
A pig.
Is that a guess? You're quite right. Yes, it sounds like one, doesn't it? Gub Gub is a pig. Which 19th century artist, played by Kirk Douglas, was the main subject of the 1956 film Lust for Life?
Gauguin.
No. MEL Kinsey?
Vincent van Gogh.
It was, yes. Anthony Quinn won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for his brief appearance as the painter Paul Gauguin, which might have been a bit galling for Kirk, I think. End of round one. Everyone scored, which is healthy. MEL Kinsey 1, DARREN Martin and Paul Webster 2 apiece. Graham Cox 6. And it is to Graham that we return. The bulk of the Kalahari Desert lies in which African country once known as Bechuanaland?
Namibia.
No. Paul Webster.
Botswana.
Botswana is the right one, yes. Mel Kinsey, the great engineer Thomas Telford was punningly described as the Colossus of Rhodes, R-O-A-D-S, by a poet who served as poet laureate between 1813 and 1843. Who was that poet?
Shelley.
It wasn't Shelley, no. Darren Martin.
Robert Southey.
Robert Southey, yes, he was the one who served for 30 years. Darren Martin's question, what three-word term was given to the custom of clerics claiming the privilege of trial by the church rather than secular courts, a right abolished in the early 19th century?
Can't remember.
Right. Mel Kinsey.
Trial by peers.
No. Any more tries? Paul Webster.
Trial of scriveners.
No. Graham Cox.
Ecclesiastic court.
No, it has to be three words, and the words are benefit of clergy. A familiar phrase, but nobody knows what to attach it to. I certainly didn't. Anyway, Paul Webster, your question. Gwalchmai is the Welsh name for which knight of Arthurian legend?
Galahad.
No. Graham Cox.
Gawain.
Gawain, yes. Gwalchmai is also a village in Anglesey, as it happens. Here are the scores at the end of round two. Mel Kinsey still on 1, Darren Martin and Paul Webster 3 apiece now, Graham Cox 7. Now, Graham Cox, a sound question. You're about to hear part of a famous speech given by a historical figure, spoken here by an actor. You just have to tell me who made the original speech.
Oliver Cromwell.
Yes, it was. We heard Norman Rodway as a particularly vigorous Cromwell. It was from Oliver Cromwell's famous speech dismissing the so-called Rump Parliament in 1653, the one where he says, "In the name of God, go." The negotiations between the USA and the Soviet Union regarding nuclear weapons that began in 1969 were given the acronym SALT. What does that stand for?
Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty.
Yeah, I'll let you have it. Strategic Arms Limitation talks officially at the time. Massawa is the chief port of which African country?
Nigeria.
No. Paul Webster?
Mozambique.
Nope. Mel Kinsey?
Oh, no, sorry, it's gone.
Right. Darren Martin's going to have a go.
Cameroon.
No, it's Eritrea. Mel Kinsey, your question, though. Which British actress born in India in 1913 with the original surname Hartley won the Academy Award for Best Actress on 2 occasions and made her last film, Ship of Fools, in 1965?
Vivian Lee.
Yes. In the business world, what type of pasta is found in a phrase used as the name for a situation in which a company attempts to prevent a hostile takeover by issuing a large number of bonds on the condition that they must be redeemed at a very high price?
Spaghetti.
No, it's pasta, all right. Darren Martin?
Macaroni.
Yes, macaroni. It's called the macaroni defense, apparently because if the company is in danger, the redemption price of the bonds expands like macaroni in a saucepan. Darren Martin, your question. In a laboratory, for what purpose would you use an autoclave?
Sterilisation.
Of equipment. Yes, you're right. The 1909 play Liliom by the Hungarian playwright and novelist Ferenc Molnár was the basis for which Rodgers and Hammerstein musical, first produced in 1945?
Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
No. Mel Kinsey.
Carousel.
Carousel is the one. Yes, you're right. Paul Webster, one of the aims of the Reform Act of 1832 was to get rid of Britain's so-called rotten boroughs. One of these was Higham Ferrers, which held no elections at all between 1702 and 1832, but still managed to return an MP to Parliament throughout that period. In which English county is Higham Ferrers?
Shropshire.
I'm afraid not. Mel Kinsey?
Cambridgeshire.
No. No Cambridgeshire. Darren Martin?
Buckinghamshire.
No. Graham Cox, complete the tour.
Norfolk.
No, it's in Northamptonshire, I'm afraid. Never mind, end of a round. And here are the scores, which are sort of tightening up a little bit. Paul Webster and Mel Kinsey, 3 each. Darren Martin, 5. Graham Cox, 9. This is the point in the programme where our contenders can take their fingers off the buttons for a few moments and tackle some questions from a Brain of Britain listener in a spirit of relative relaxation and collaboration rather than combat. If our listener today succeeds in beating the brains, he or she will win a book voucher prize. And of course, whatever the outcome, it makes no difference to your scores here in the studio. Today's questions have been emailed to us at brainofbritain@bbc.co.uk by Harry Shaw in Cheltenham. They are, I suppose, broadly geographical in theme. Mr. Shaw's first question is this. The mayor of the city of Batman in 2008 threatened to sue the filmmaker Christopher Nolan for unauthorized use of the city's name in his Dark Knight trilogy. In which country is the city of Batman?
Yeah. Yeah.
Turkey.
Yes, indeed. It's the capital of Batman province. It's home to Batman University. Love to be a professor there. And it stands on the Batman River near its confluence with the Tigris. It's in southeastern Anatolia. You disposed of that one pretty quickly, I must say. So here's Harry Shaw's second question. E, written as the letter Y with a mark above it, a kind of accent grave above it, is the Vietnamese name for which European country?
It was a French colony, wasn't it? So maybe it's France.
Don't know.
I don't know. I'm completely guessing. France. It's good.
Could use anything, yeah.
France.
Nope. It's Italy. You'll be reassured to know that other countries of the world are not named in Vietnamese just by missing out all the letters, except the last one, but in that case, it was. So, congratulations, Harry Shaw. You did outwit the brains on the second occasion, and your prize will be with you in short order, and we congratulate you here and now with this superheroes round of applause. Of course, we're always delighted to receive your suggestions for questions to use in this part of the programme. You can send them at any time by emailing them to brainofbritain@bbc.co.uk or by following the contact link on our web pages. If you prefer ink and paper, you can always pop them in an envelope addressed to us at Brain of Britain, BBC Dock House, Media City, UK, Salford M50 2LH. They don't necessarily have to have a linking theme, and if you have several questions up your sleeve and can't decide between them, please don't be shy of sending us all of them and leaving us to choose the two we like best. Collaboration over then. It's time to get back to the rivalry, and we resume the contest with another question for you, Graham Cox. Which mineral is the major ore of tin and is therefore sometimes known as tinstone?
Stibnite.
No, Darren Martin.
Cassiterite.
Cassiterite, yes, well done. Mel Kinsey, in theatrical slang, what is Kensington Gore?
Makeup.
No. Darren Martin?
Fake blood.
Fake blood, those are the words on my sheet here, indeed. Now, Darren Martin, there's music with your next question, and it's a cover of the Beatles song, She's Leaving Home. The version you're about to hear was one side of a double-sided charity single, which made #1 in the UK charts in 1988, and I'd like you to tell me who the vocalist is.
Wednesday morning at 5 o'clock as the day begins, silently closing her bedroom door, leaving the note that she hoped would say more. She goes downstairs to the kitchen, clutching her handkerchief, quietly turning the back door key. Stepping outside, she is free.
It's Billy Bragg.
It is Billy Bragg, yes. Interesting to hear that song sung without any Liverpudlian tinge at all. The recording also featured singer and pianist Cara Tivey, whose voice we didn't hear in that extract. Wet, Wet, Wet's version of With a Little Help from My Friends was on the other side of the record, which was released in aid of the charity Childline. Which company was embroiled in Envelope Gate at last year's Oscars ceremony in February 2017, when a member of staff passed the winner envelope for the wrong category to presenter Warren Beatty?
Price Waterhouse.
PricewaterhouseCoopers, yes. Pricewaterhouse is as most people think of it. And the mix-up saw La La Land announced as the winner of the Best Picture Oscar instead of Moonlight. The accounting firm has supervised the Academy Award ballots for more than 80 years. Deadwood, the home of the hero of American popular fiction Deadwood Dick, is a city in which US state?
Arizona.
Not Arizona, I'm afraid. No. Mel Kinsey?
Kansas.
Not Kansas either. Paul Webster?
Illinois.
No. Graham Cox?
Iowa.
No, it was South Dakota, as in the Deadwood stage. Paul Webster, your question. The Russian city of Simbirsk was renamed in 1924 to reflect its status as the birthplace of which major figure of the Russian Revolution?
Lenin.
Yes, it was Lenin, Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. It became Ulyanovsk after Lenin's family name, Ulyanov, and it remains so today. Which seven-letter word describes a sentence containing every letter of the alphabet?
Don't know.
Right. Darren Martin does.
Pangram.
Pangram is right. Yes, you are indeed right. And we'd reached the end of another round. Here are the scores. Mel Kinsey 3, Paul Webster 4, Graham Cox 9, Darren Martin now 10. Nobody can name a winner. Here, Graham Cox. Whose law states that the electrostatic force between two charged bodies is proportional to the product of the amount of charge on the bodies divided by the square of the distance between them?
Dalton.
No. Darren Martin?
Faraday.
Nope. Mel Kinsey?
Teslas.
No. Paul Webster?
Van der Waal.
No, it was a French military engineer and physicist called Charles-Augustin de Coulomb. It's Coulomb's law. Mel Kinsey. Since its inception in 1998, which team has won the most Super League Grand Finals with 8, up to and including the 2017 final?
St Helens.
No. Graham Cox?
Leeds Rhinos.
Leeds Rhinos, yes. For audiences further south, that's a rugby league team. Darren Martin, which famous sports venue was known during its early days as Billy Williams' Cabbage Patch and was used as a grazing ground for horses and sheep during the First World War?
Twickenham.
Yes. For rugby league fans, that's a rugby union ground. Brantwood, the country home of John Ruskin, overlooks which body of water in the Lake District?
Lake Windermere.
No. Any more lakes? Graham Cox?
Coniston.
Coniston Water is the right answer. Paul Webster, music comes with your next question. The composer of this Symphony No. 4 in F minor said the beginning was cribbed from the finale of Beethoven's Ninth. I'd like you to name the composer.
Shostakovich.
No. Graham Cox?
Mussorgsky.
No. Darren Martin?
Marler.
No. Mel Kinsey?
Haydn.
No, it was Vaughan Williams, and Bernard Haitink was conducting the London Philharmonic Orchestra. Now, here are interesting scores. Mel Kinsey 3, Paul Webster 4, Darren Martin 11, Graham Cox 11. Graham Cox, we return to you. The Sad Fortunes of the Reverend Amos Barton, Mr. Gilfil's Love Story, and Janet's Repentance are the first pieces of published fiction by George Eliot. Under what single title were these three stories published together in book form?
Middlemarch.
No. I sense that nobody's read these. I can't claim to have done myself. No, they're called Scenes of Clerical Life, and they first appeared in Blackwood's magazine in 1857. Mel Kinsey. According to an age-old American fashion diktat, in the USA it was considered a sartorial crime to wear a white or seersucker outfit after which national holiday?
Thanksgiving Day.
Not that one, no. Darren Martin.
Independence Day.
No. Graham Cox.
Labour Day.
Yes, Labour Day, which is the first Monday in September. Darren Martin, the Homestead Strike of 1892, one of the most bitter and violent strikes in American history, involved workers in which industry?
Mining.
No. Mel Kinsey.
Railway.
Not railway, no. Graham Cox.
Dock workers.
No. Paul Webster.
Retail.
No. It was steel. Also called the Homestead Riot, a violent labour dispute between the Carnegie Steel Company and many of its workers took place in Homestead, Pennsylvania. Paul Webster, your question now. After Spanish and English, what is the world's next most widely spoken European language?
German.
No. Graham Cox.
Portuguese.
It is. Slightly surprised me. I thought it might be French, but it was Portuguese, mainly due to the large population of Brazil and former African colonies. Scores now. Mel Kinsey 3, Paul Webster 4, Darren Martin 11, Graham Cox 13. And here cometh the final round, folks. So, Graham Cox, your question. Which Welsh-born actor became the fourth to take the role of James Bond in the official sequence of films?
Timothy Dalton.
Right, yes. Who became leader of the Democratic Unionist Party in 2015?
Don't know.
Right. Mel Kinsey?
Aileen Foster.
Yes, near enough. Arlene Foster, actually. A-R-L, yes. But we'll give you that. Mel Kinsey, your question. Which very popular item of food was developed in Great Yarmouth and launched in autumn 1955 at the Brighton Sales Conference?
Don't know.
Right. Graham Cox?
Fish finger.
Fish fingers, yes, launched by Bird's Eye. Fish legs for grown-ups have never been tried, I don't think. Darren Martin. In literature, Mildendo is the capital of which land?
Narnia.
No. Mel Kinsey.
Lilliput.
Lilliput in Swift's Gulliver's Travels, yes. Paul Webster, your question. Act 1, Scene 1 of Shakespeare's Love's Labour's Lost depicts the King of Navarre and his three companions taking an oath to devote themselves to 3 years of study whilst foregoing the company of women. What is the name of the King of Navarre?
Alphonse.
No. Darren Martin.
Henry.
Not Henry, no. Mel Kinsey?
Philip.
No. Good try, but not. Graham Cox is going to have to go.
Antonio.
It wasn't Antonio. Oh, there are lots of Antonios in Shakespeare, but this time it was Ferdinand. Ferdinand, and that brings us to the end of Heat 6 of Brain of Britain 2018, with the final scores like this. Paul Webster 4, Mel Kinsey 5, Darren Martin 11, Graham Cox 15. So it's congratulations to Graham Cox, whom we'll definitely be meeting again in the semi-finals later in the spring. My thanks to the other three of you for a spirited contest. And don't forget that the top-scoring runners-up of the series will also be invited back for the semi-finals. So all may not be lost for Darren Martin either. We won't know for sure until we've completed all of the heats. We'll be back here in Salford for 2 more heats later in the series, but for next week's Brain of Britain contest, we'll be in the Radio Theatre in London. I sincerely hope you'll be able to listen. Until then, from here at Media City, UK, thanks for listening and goodbye.